All right, so why Wax? So in this video, I'm going to do a detailed breakdown for you guys of why I think Wax is an interesting project that if you don't know about, you probably should. So Wax is an EOS IO based blockchain, so it has the same performance of EOS that people are used to, where you don't have to pay fees to transact. You are able to stake some tokens or have the app or wallet stake for you and transact any reasonable amount of transactions that somebody would like to do on a daily basis without having to pay fees every time. Obviously, there's a big selling point of EOS. Wax has furthered that as well, doing the same thing as well as some of the EOS IO chains. But like I said, I want to give a detailed breakdown of some of the specifics. So let's get into it. So the current market cap of Wax, as I make this video, is just under 66 million with a daily volume of 2.2 million, and it's ranked 92. The 92 ranking would imply essentially, right, that there are 91 projects that are have more interest and more excitement and bigger market caps than Wax. I just don't think that's the case. There's a lot of projects that are on there. I'm not going to go through individually name some of them. There's a lot that the team is holding a large amount of the tokens. They're using it to market make, wash trade, and do all kind of things in between to sort of bump up and maintain an artificial market cap that's just not a true result of the actual community and holders of that particular project. So, like I said, Wax's focus as an EOS IO chain is in the NFT aspect, in an NFT space, and so what that is non-fungible tokens. One of the first things that we've already seen has been the GPK launch, which is the Garbage Pail Kids. So this is Wax partnering with a well-known brand in the real world to bring digital assets to the chain. A lot of you guys who are ETH fans, Ethereum fans, or who've been in the space for a long time are familiar with things like CryptoKitties and some of these other NFTs that gain traction. The problem with them was a couple things, right? I mean, people were so excited in the beginning just because this is the first time you're able to have digital assets on the blockchain and people were able to trade them and have a value accrue real time. And it was sort of this greater fool thing where it was, hype, building it up, people wanted to buy it, and all of a sudden a few people were left holding the bag, and now the CryptoKitties aren't really worth very much. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, they don't really have a use case, right? You can't really do anything with them. And two, there's not really a giant brand behind it, right? That people have known, loved, or have that nostalgic feeling with. And that's why I think the GPK partnership for Wax was so interesting, because it was one of the first time that a real world brand you're seeing is bringing NFTs onto the chain, and just the idea of being able to open up unopened card packs is so interesting to people. And the game theory with this is that, you already look at the success of that, right? There's $100,000 in GPK cards that was sold within the first, I think, 36 hours. So that's a really good stress test for demand that these things have in the actual market, right? And this is just the beginning, right? Because a partnership like with Topps, they have intellectual property for all kinds of other things. So many different pro sports that you guys are familiar with, and even other brands, as well as, from my understanding, the team is out there making, doing what they have to do to bring other well-known brands to the space. So you match the fact that with these other assets on Ethereum, right? I mean, they could only transfer so much, right? Because people have to pay gas fees, and the chain could only do so much. So it really put a ceiling on that bubble. I think that what we saw with CryptoKitties that won't exist in the same way on Wax, right? And as more and more assets start to get digitized and become digital assets, you're gonna have to have more and more Wax locked up into RAM. So I'm gonna go over here to DApp Radar. I want to show you guys this. This is just the top 10 right on DApp Radar. Obviously, the numbers for most dApps across the space isn't a crazy high number, right? This isn't a secret, but this is going to change, I think, a lot between now and the next 12 months. But you have Wax with prospectors here in the top 6, typically top 5, top 3, and a number of other dApps that are on Wax that I think will be moving their way up the ranks pretty soon, as well as hopefully some games that are with some well-known companies that people are familiar with. I'm going to go over to Blocktivity just to show this here. And, so I've showed Blocktivity on the channel a lot, right? And Blocktivity definitely shows, let me refresh this because this is real slow. So Blocktivity shows usage, use case, or not use case, but usage, right, on the chain. How many transactions are happening? How many, people are sending this, so whether it's tokens or digital assets. But in some ways, it's not 100% a true metric of real usage, right? Like you look on EOS and Telos, some of these projects, right, on Telos. I love Telos. I think some of the people in the community are fantastic. But of those 4.2 million transactions, a lot of those transactions are from people doing things similar to IDOS, right, where people are just sending tokens to sort of mine some other coin. And, we can debate whether that's valuable or not. In my personal opinion, I think it's spam. And you see some of that with the main EOS IO chain as well. So these numbers are, higher than what they actually are in terms of the actual usage. Nonetheless, it shows the capability of these chains, which is more impressive and definitely a differentiator among all things that are not EOS.io. So Wax currently on here is ranked number 13th. So one of the differences with Wax and other EOS.io chains is that you actually can't do those same sort of transactions, right? So what people are doing is they're using Rex, right, which is the resource exchange, to very cheaply pay a very tiny fee, borrow a whole lot amount of EOS, and they're just being able to do a ton of transactions. And what that's doing is removing some of the free bandwidth that is not used that could be allocated to others, and really locking everyone down to exactly what they have. And so for normal people, the experience can be quite tough, and in some ways on EOS, right? You have to have a decent amount staked to do even a decent amount of transactions, and it made it harder for dApps to be able to match that. Obviously, again, there's the chicken and the egg thing where the performance is increasing at the same time, so these problems are simultaneously, larger, but also becoming less of a problem as well because the performance is increasing. Nonetheless, personally, I really like that Wax does not have the resource exchange. I think it gives a truer value or a truer weight of, those who need more resources will go out and get them, right? If you're borrowing them, I think the idea of making a secondary leasing market's great. On paper, it sounds great, but when there's no ability to stop, spam, and then it starts affecting performance, you have to weigh your options, right? There's going to be people who disagree with me on that, and that's fine, but that's just my personal opinion on that. One of the other things, too, I wanted to cover here, some of you guys have seen, so Wax had announced an advisory council, and up until right now, the time this video being made, they've only announced the first partner on it, but the first partner, person who came on the advisory council was Rich, I think Weidman, and he's from Google, right? So he is a lawyer who works at Google, and what this does is it brings advisors to Wax on the advisory council who can help weigh in and give their 2 cents about how the chain and the overall network can improve. And then the other side that people aren't quite I think discussing enough is that it just creates an access point into some of these companies, right? Some of these companies are so popular and so busy that being able to actually get to decision makers, if you have something, a potential proposal, collaboration, is near impossible to do, especially at a company like Google where it's just so big. There's so many guard keepers that you have to, or guards in the way of decision makers, that it takes a long time to be able to get there. So having somebody who works pretty high up at Google that's on the advisory council, as well as some of the other companies yet to be named, I think is great that it gives an access point, and something that a lot of other projects in this space aren't doing. There's definitely some that are, but those that are, especially that are blockchains for decentralized applications, you see it starts to gain attention, and people notice that these are steps in the right direction, right? Crypto is going to gain value in a number of ways. Of course, you have speculators and greater fools, and those things happen, but it's going to come from usage. It's going to come from people needing to actually acquire the crypto to use it for a particular game, an app, sending transactions, or some of the DeFi aspects that come with it. But also, again, cryptos are eating value in the real world, right? And so where's the value held in the real world? A lot of it is held by some of the biggest companies in the real world, right? So if there's a bridge that's being built between these blockchain projects and some of the biggest companies in the real world, and now there's at least a bridge there to walk across, discuss, potentially collaborate, that was a door that wasn't open just before. So I think for me, this is news that got me pretty excited about the project, and I think there's going to be more to come on this. Then there is, I can show you guys briefly this here. I'm going to do a whole nother video on this, but the Wax Cloud wallet that's coming, really cool app. I helped design this, and some other projects in the space. I wanted to show this to you guys. So you have apps here, you have tokens, NFTs, send, receive, resources, apps, your digital assets, staking, learn crypto, create accounts, so many different things on here that are really interesting that I think people are going to like, that I hope that whenever this is ready, it's going to be probably one of the best, if not the best, products that's in the blockchain space for people to use and interact with apps, tokens, and a number of other things. And one other thing I want to show you guys here, I'm a bit biased on this, but I want to show you guys Karma. Briefly show it to you guys here, as like I said, as I'm going to do a whole other video for it. But Karma launched, had moved over to Wax. Karma is a social network on the Wax blockchain, so you can like posts, you can comment, you can tip, and you can also spend Karma to promote content. And every time people like your posts, you're able to earn cryptocurrency for that. So hope that you guys like this video. Like I said, I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited about Wax. If it's a project that's not on your radar, I definitely recommend checking it out a bit more. I can put resources below to some of the stuff if you guys want to check it out. Either way, hit the like button, comment below, tell me what you guys think about this project, and I will see you guys in the next video.